Lewiston, Maine, January 9th, 1926. Well, I'll tell you the truth, I was so young that I was, when you turn 18, you know, that you don't think of those things, really. You don't think of the war, this. I wanted to go. I enlisted when I was 17. I enlisted in the Marine, but they turned me down because I had a right eye that was too weak, and they rejected me. So when they drafted me, then I could have gone in the Marine, but I was mad at them. I said, if I wasn't good a year ago, I'm not good enough now. So I went in the Navy.
On January 9th, 1944, Dad turned 18. 6 weeks later, he was gone. On February 22nd, Dad was inducted in the Armed Forces and decided to enlist in the Navy. He was transferred to active duty with full pay, $50 a month, and an enlistment allowance of $136.64. He was expected to report to the Sampson Naval Training Station in Sampson, New York, the very next day, on February 23, 1944, to begin his basic training. He left Lewiston on the train.
I never saw a man cry like my father did. My father was crying when you left. Well, was the only boy, and he was only 18. So it made it hard for him. They were drafting.
Well, I left here and I went to Sampson, New York, and I only had 6 weeks of boat training because they were short of men.
The training station was built by President Franklin Roosevelt at a cost of $50 million in 1942, rising overnight from the farmland along the eastern shore of 42-mile-long Seneca Lake. Even though Sampson was a good 300 miles from the nearest salt water, the Navy really did turn Dad and his fellow recruits into battle-ready sailors. When Dad arrived at the training center, he reported to the receiving building, where he had to fill out his recruit information slip. He was then given a pay number, a final physical examination, an outfit of regulation clothing. His civilian clothes were packed and shipped home. He was photographed for his Navy ID card and assigned to a company. His company was the 582nd. Dad's company was made up of 110 men. He learned, worked, drilled, ate, and slept with these men, his shipmates.
Going in the service like this, you meet up with some nice guys, good boys, and when I made some friends that I'm still visiting. Now it's slowed down because I lost my best buddy last year, an Italian fellow from Massachusetts. We were friends for 53 years. And he came down here, and I go up there, and he died last year. But I still get some that they don't come. They've been here once or twice, but now we don't visit on account of us getting kind of old and traveling like that to Chicago or California. It's a long trip to be away. But I really enjoyed some of these guys that were real good guys. Yeah, I've had one guy aboard ship with us, and he took me as his son. He was 39 years old, and I was 18. You know, it's tricky to get aboard ship, and I was one of the youngest ones, but all the other guys were in their 30s or better.
While at Sampson, Dad trained as a fireman, and when he completed basic training, was advanced to fireman second class. Life at Sampson wasn't all work and sweat. Men were provided entertainment in Sullivan Auditorium, which could seat 2,000 men and featured the latest movies, USO, and road shows.
Well, here I am at the Sampson Naval Training Center. That's a big place where they send boots and spend 6 weeks lacing them up tighter. A boot, that's a tar. They can't go too far. Sampson is located on Seneca Lake. That's one of the Finger Lakes. Sampson, that's the hangnail. I hadn't been here 2 minutes before they were begging me for my signature. And I'm still trying to find out who had me sign up for the Japanese Navy. But I met an admiral here, and I met an admiral, and I told him I was sent here to bolster up the morale of the sailors, the morale. He took one look at me and said, "Who sent you, the Marines?" But I love being here at the Naval Training Station. I told one of the officers my program must be well liked because I've been invited back for the second time. I asked what the Navy liked best about my broadcast, and he said, "Your listening audience. Yours is the only program that can be broadcast in the Naval Training Station and still have the whole thing remain a military secret."
After completing basic training, Dad was granted a 7-day leave from March 28th to April 4th, 1944. While on leave, Dad visited with family and friends and one special young lady.
Anyone else but me, anyone else but me, anyone else but me, no, 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 don't sit under the apple tree, anyone else but me, till I come.
Well, yeah, that's when they started dating. And then he came for his furlough. That's why she was coming at the house often. We had her at the house.
Anyone else but me, no, 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 don't go walking down Lover's Lane, anyone else but me, till I come mine.
I went from boot camp. I went to Brooklyn Navy Yard. I went aboard that ship, USS Darnell. And it was the first time I ever went in. I was aboard the ship. That was the first time. And 10 days out, we got hit by a German submarine.
Oh yes, we were having letters, and when that boat was torpedoed, well, we had heard it on through the radio. Pepe was worried, and then we had a letter from the Red Cross that he was all right. Yeah, there was, but he usually slept on the second bunk, and that day he had slept on the first bunk, and the second bunk flew out of the water, and for me, they never found him. So he said there was a God with him when it happened.
I just didn't have time to go to bed, to sleep. I mean, I went to bed, but I didn't fall asleep. That thing hit, holy Christ. I went up and goddamn landed like a madman. Boy, I want to get the hell out of there.
Like that.
There was one guy that was sleeping on his bunk, and the torpedo hit it, and the goddamn implosion. He went flying about 30, 40 feet from the ship, and he stayed on his mattress. He held on to his mattress. He hit the water, and he was holding on to his mattress, and they picked him up. Well, I'll be goddamn, he didn't have nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Hang on to the mattress. And when he hit the water, he stayed afloat. Those mattresses are all like a life raft, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they went and got him. They picked up quite a few. They got blown off the ship.
On May 3rd, 1944, Dad's ship, the USS Darnell, was on her 5th transatlantic voyage, helping to bring needed supplies to Europe in support of the June D-Day invasion. When she made a sound contact and sighted a periscope 450 miles southwest of Cape Clear, Ireland, she prepared for a depth charge attack, but was hit at 9:55 a.m. by one torpedo, which hit the after part, and the explosion of her own depth charges blew off the stern. 29 men were killed and 25 wounded. The vessel was towed by the destroyer escorts USS Reeves and USS Hopping and the tug HMS Samonia to Dunstafnage Bay, Scotland, arriving on May 12th. The damage was too extensive, so the ship was placed out of commission.
But part of the ship stayed afloat, and I was the lucky one that was on that. And they picked us up 3 days later, brought us to Norton Island, and New Londonderry, Norton Island, and we stayed there for a month. And they sent me back. I landed in Fargo Building in Boston. Then they sent me home for 30-day furlough.
On August 19th, 1944, Dad reported to the Naval Training Station in Newport, Rhode Island. He was stationed there until September 30th, 1944. While at Newport, Dad received more training as a fireman. He also passed his naval swim test. On September 30th, Dad found out about his next ship.
And then I reported back to a ship in Virginia, and it was a Wrangell. It's an ammunition ship. And they always said that once you're in the Navy and you lose one ship, you can get the priority duty. They give you the duty you want, guaranteed. But when I lost my first ship, I put in with this buddy from Massachusetts. We both put in for another destroyer escort. But what the heck did they give us? They gave us an ammunition ship. The worst service, the worst thing you could have in a service. And they was kind of scared of us because we carried all that ammunition, so we always traveled by ourselves. And aboard ship, in the ammunition ship, there wasn't much to do. You can't load ammunition until a ship gets by you, so we had a lot of free time. So we made a volleyball court on top of those holes, probably 20 feet square, and we used to play volleyball there. That's the only enjoyment we had aboard ship. There wasn't much of anything else that we could do. So it's quite an experience.
So Dad was assigned to another supply ship, the USS Wrangell. On November 30th, 1944, with a full load of ammunition, the Wrangell, escorted by the USS Bory, headed out to sea, heading south from North Fork, Virginia, to the Panama Canal. Dad's ship passed through the canal on the 3rd anniversary of the war, December 7th, 1944.
And I left a week after I reported in to go aboard that ship. And then we took off for the South Pacific.
That ship was headed for the Marshall Islands, but a change in orders on December 18th, 1944, and they were now headed for Pearl Harbor, arriving on December 21st. They hoped to be spending Christmas in Hawaii, but on Christmas Eve, they again set sail for the Marshall Islands, arriving there on New Year's Day, 1945. On the same day, they headed toward Ulithi in the Western Carolines. For the next 5 months, Ulithi was their base. Anchored in Ulithi Lagoon, the Wrangell reported for duty.
And we were in 3 different invasions.
Dad's ship supported the fleet in its operation against Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and the Japanese coast and shipping.
was in the Philippines, and then they sent us back. They gave us order to come back, and when I got back, I still had about a month before I could get my discharge. So they sent us to Bayonne, New Jersey, and we decommissioned our ship over there. That's about all the unless there's anything you want to know, but the date might be a little off, but it's damn close. I'd have to look at my discharge to make it, but that's pretty damn close. So it's about all, except when I come back. I met my wife before I left for the service, and when I come back, we went going out together for a while, and we broke up. And after probably a year or so, we got started going back together again. Not long after that, I asked her for the blessing of a wedding, and she agreed. I was surprised. I never would have asked her. She didn't know. But now I've started having little kids. I had 2 boys, and then I had a girl, and my wife said, that's it.